What is going on, everyone? Welcome on back to the channel. Look at you guys, looking stunning today. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Ooh, it is 7:42 a.m. on a Saturday morning. My wife had to go to work and I said, you know what? I'm gonna listen to some Pink Floyd. Not that I can't listen to Pink Floyd when she's not here, but we're gonna go ahead, sit down, relax with this Saucerful of Secrets, their second album. We're gonna listen to the whole thing right here, right now. Hope that you guys are here for it. Hope that you're interested. This album has been recommended for a while. We've listened to quite a bit of Pink Floyd, but we haven't explored a lot of their early period. We haven't explored, a ton of them. We've listened to a decent amount though. But this album's been recommended for years and years and years. Just to throw a few names out there. Super Chicken. Super Chicken. Let's see. Josh Noodleman. Noodleman? That's a cool last name. Tony Matos. Music Droog. Air Windows. Zach. So good you gotta say it 3 times, and the list just continues to go on and on and on and on from there. So yeah, I'm excited to go ahead and get into this one. From this kind of era, we've listened to their debut album, so we're just moving on up a little bit. And of course, I almost forgot, but when we hit 30K subscribers, you know, don't know if you can see it up there, but you know, we'll be listening to The Wall. So we'll have that in store for the future. But otherwise, right now, we're going to go ahead and get underway in listening to this album. So we're going to start off with the first track, which is going to be Let There Be, not light, but a little bit more light. And just while you guys are here, just you know, while you're sitting down, settling in for the video, if I can make a recommendation for a band, for an album, I'd really like to recommend you guys listening to the band Zop. If you haven't already, they're one of like these modern bands that are throwing back their sound. For them specifically, you're gonna get an old flavor of Canterbury, a little bit of that jazz fusion. Their album, is it Dominion? I think it's Dominion. Just released a while back, and it's pretty good. It's a good listen. So I'll link them down below. Definitely give them a listen. Let them know where you came from. It's a really good album. And obviously, if you do enjoy the videos, before we even get underway, press the like button. Helps me out. And before you forget, because you know, in the midst of listening to this album, we're gonna talk, we're gonna forget. So just get it out the way now. You know? Anyways, let's go ahead and get it started with Let There Be More Light. Let's get this underway. I like this rising riff. Right on the organ there. What an interesting, like, entrance. Drums take center, but still distant. This is awesome. This is an awesome first track. We're hitting the long stretch of a fade out. That's all right. All right. Let's definitely talk about Let There Be More Light. What a stunning opener track. Did you guys like that? So first of all, did you like it? Second of all, I liked it. Third of all, is this track one of those well-known tracks, like a hidden gem, like a deep cut for the band? Because this was fantastic. This was to me so awesome. A great call, of course, their previous album Piper, with all the psychedelic influences. I would be curious to know if the engineer's production is handled by the same people that handle Piper, because you're still getting that deep psychedelic well of knowledge. You're still getting all that fading in and out, the crossfading, some instruments leaving and going to one side, coming back from another, etc., etc. Like, that is cool, and I think that it's used to great effect here. The band would, of course, do the same things on later albums, but they felt a little bit like more polished, I guess is the best word I could use to describe it. Like, they still do it later on, but it definitely seems a little bit more polished in a way. Here, there's a messiness to it, but it's charming. It adds so much character to the music, and it doesn't take away from the music. It sounds really good. All right, let's dive. Hit my hat. Let's dive into this just a little bit, because I do believe this is the album where Gilmour's here, and this is Sid's last album before he left. If I remember correctly, I'm just reading really quick. During recording, the mental health of Syd Barrett deteriorated, so Gilmour was recruited. Barrett left the band before the album's completion. Okay, and I do see that on this particular track, it is going to be Gilmour. Yeah, Sid's not involved in this particular song here. So we're getting that Gilmour flavor on the guitar, which is so apparent. I mention it probably a lot of times when we listen to Pink Floyd, but I have to mention Richard Wright. His organ, his keys. Here, the organ. I mean, the organ a lot of times will add a little bit of a sear to the steak, but here it's like he's ripping up concrete. When he gets into that chorus, it's just like it's so deep and growly. It's absolutely demonic. Like I think that that is so cool, and how that adds into the chorus, I guess you could say, of the track. Which the structure has this really cool back and forth, like da 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 da, and then it gets into the chorus, which is so big. So like I don't know if this is considered a transitional album, even though I guess you could argue the fact because the band actually going through transitions at this point. But this does sound, at least from the first song, like a little bit of a transition. But how beautiful is this mixing of, their debut and where they would go in the future? This sounds like a deep cut. This is fantastic. I see that this song. Oh yeah, before I continue on, I did like the entrance as well, which, like I said, kind of got into that deep psychedelic feel with the riffs coming in, and then the drums were so distant. Then the riffs went to the right side. The organ stayed on the left for a moment, and then drums came center, and it was just really like this production cluster that was happening. It says that this song is written by Roger Waters. It says that the first gentler vocals are performed by Wright, with Waters whispering, and following harder refrain is sung by Gilmour. And the last 2 minutes of the song mark the first appearance of a guitar solo by Gilmour. It's really, really good. Let's get into these lyrics, though. Far, far away, people heard him say, I will find a way, there will come a day. Something will be done. Then, at last, the mighty ship descending on a point of flame made contact with the human race at Mildenhall. Now is the time to be aware. So, I don't know exactly what's going on, but there's the arrival of some sort of deity, alien, something. Carter's father saw him there and knew the road revealed to him the living soul of Hereward the Wake. Oh my, something my eye, the outer lock rolled slowly back. The servicemen were heard to sigh, and for there revealed in glowing robes was Lucy in the sky. Did she have her diamonds or not? Doesn't say. Did you ever know? Never ever will they, I cannot say. Summoning his cosmic powers and glowing slightly from his toes, his psychic emanations flowed. I don't know, dude. There's some sort of alien or god that just arrived in, showing them some light. How much light? More light. That's how much. It says, let there be more light includes cryptic references to science fiction stories. The 11th century rebel Hereward the Wake, Beatles song, Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds. And blah, 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 blah. The first verse relates a realization of an apparent prophecy. The third verse, the spacecraft opens, revealing, of course, Lucy in the sky, and some other stuff happens in there. Anyways, this was a really, really fantastic track. This was a great opener. Let's go ahead and move on into the next track here, which is going to be Remember a Day. Let's go. Sounded like Take 5 from Bill Evans' trio for a second. Oh no, favorite things. John Coltrane, sorry. Every time it comes down and leaves room for the piano from right, it's such a great settling moment. That's magical. If you guys hear meowing, it's because my cat's here. If you saw me keep on reaching down or looking around, my cat was running around in here. All right. Well, how fantastic is this? All right, we're 2 for 2. Wright's piano, gliding blissfully underneath all of this. Mason's drum work, just like I said, rumbling and rambling in this. I don't want to say Western. I mean, that's the feel I was getting. Maybe it's not, what was intended necessarily, but it's kind of the feeling that I got was kind of this cosmic Western sound. Once again, just fantastic guitar work. I think that on this track now, you are going to have Barrett. Yeah, so this one does have Barrett in it. So some of the tracks you're going to have 2 different guitars because, like we mentioned, Barrett did leave, I guess, before the actual finishing of the album. But, so this one you do have Barrett in here. How wonderful does he sound? I guess I'm getting a little bit of a Western sound from some of those, like, higher guitar tones, those kind of like those kind of loud pitch, not loud pitch, high pitched singing noises in there. Then speaking of noises, he had some. I can't make that noise. I never could. But did I do it? I'm just slapping myself. That kind of clopping noise or whatever. You had like a lot of sound effects. The singing was very like just melodic, very chill, just like just very wistful, I guess you'd say. This is this an underrated album? Because I would imagine maybe the album isn't underrated. I can't say it. I'm only 2 songs in, but I'm enjoying it. But maybe just overshadowed by their, more well-known works, perhaps. I don't know. It says here that, let's see, the song was written and sung by Wright, who recorded during 2 different sessions, or was recorded during 2 different sections. You have, during the sessions for the song, Nick Mason became agitated that he could not come up with the right drum part for the song. Norman Smith, however, knew what he wanted with the drums, so he played the part himself. Okay, so you're not even having Mason in here. I'm sorry. You're having Norman Smith on the drums. Who's Norman Smith? Let me look him up real quick. Was he their engineer? It looks like he may have been their engineer in here. I'm trying to find his information on here. He was the studio engineer for all. Hold on. Smith was the engineer on all of the EMI studio recordings by the Beatles until the autumn of 1965. He began working with a new group, Pink Floyd, in 1967, producing their first, second, and fourth studio albums. That's pretty cool. I like how he just got up and said, I'll do this myself. And the engineer got out of his engineering chair and said, I'll do the drum parts. To me, that's really funny. Let's get into the lyrics here. Remember a day before today, a day when you were young, free to play alone with time, evening never come. You remember when you were younger and you would be outside playing after school and it would start to get dark, right? The lights would turn on, the street lights, and then you knew it at that time. You had to get in. You had to go home, or else your mom was going to be out there pulling your ear, right? That's what I'm getting from this childhood, right? Except a childhood when evening never comes. Of course, relating to that, but I would even go further, expand that a little bit, and sing the evening of our lives. Our adulthood, the evening near the end, the night, and it never comes. Imagine that. Sing a song that can't be sung without the morning's kiss. Queen, you shall be it if you wish. Look for your king. Why can't we play today? Why can't we stay that way? A looking back on nostalgic times and wishing and hoping and thinking, why can't it be like that still? Newsflash, make it. Sometimes you have to cut out a little bit of time, carve out a piece of your pie, and you can bring back, maybe not to the fullest extent, but you can bring back a little bit of that. Have some fun. Climb your favorite apple tree, try to catch the sun, hide from your little brother's gun, dream yourself away. Why can't we reach the sun? Why can't we blow the years away? I think that's a really good message. I think it's presented really nicely. And of course, the music is kicking. So let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. So, and remember the day he mentioned, trying to reach for the sun and etc. So maybe this is the actual taking action. I don't know. Let's give it a listen. We'll talk about it after. There's a little bit of a mystery being built up in this. It says opium den feel. Yeah. It's slowly growing in ecstasy. There they go, twisting those knobs, making the sounds go in this way and that way and your way and my way. Heart of the Sun is just this. That's a good place to be. All right, I was listening to it and this is what I was thinking, okay? This is like this scene in a movie where the outsider, the city slicker, goes to I don't know, some native land, and he goes there and the chief allows him into the village and he's starting to kind of get acclimated to it. He's like, yeah, I'm having a great time, but inside he's hating it. This is the beginning of his character arc. And then at one point during the night, they got the fire, they're dancing around. He's sitting on a log, there's someone comes up next to him, maybe the chief, maybe someone else, and they're like, hey, take this drink. This is what we all drink. And he's like, okay. He takes the drink, and then, everything starts spinning, and he's watching that fire and he's like going crazy. He's like, he's having one of those moments. This is what the music kind of reminded me of, besides being an opium den. It's very hypnotic. It mesmerizes you. It draws you in. Like I said, the bass line in that repeated melody, da 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 da, boom 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 boom, like that centers you. But then, right, with his slightly jazzy keys and everything else that he comes in with, that's what kind of takes you on that journey, alongside the kind of mantric singing that's going on as well. Like this is a really really good track. I'm liking the diversity that we also have so far in this album. We're getting a lot of different sounds and a variety of different directions that the band's taking. This track is really really good. I it's like I said near the end. This is a place I'd like to stay. You know how certain music, songs, they take you to a certain place. This is a place I would like to stay even longer. And I thought the drumming did a great job of, also keeping you balanced, keeping you low alongside of that bass line there. It says that it was written by Waters, taking lyrics from a Chinese poetry book, and features a drum part by Nick Mason played on timpani mallets, which makes sense because that's what gives the percussion that kind of depth there. It is the only song recorded by Pink Floyd to feature material from all 5 band members, as there are several different guitar parts recorded by both Gilmour and Barrett. That is kind of cool. That adds a totally new history and dimension kind of into this track. Knowing that, everyone really was on it at this point. It says, or for the lyrics, little by little the night turns around, counting the leaves which tremble at dawn. Lotuses lean on each other in yearning. Under the eaves the swallow is resting. So as we read before, apparently this is taken from some Chinese poetry. Set the controls for the heart of the sun. So taking this journey and actually taking action towards the heart of the sun. Over the mountain watching the watcher, breaking the darkness, waking the grapevine. 1 inch of love is 1 inch of shadow. Love is the shadow that ripens the vine. There's so much you could look into this and gather some sort of meaning and parse out some sort of, some information. But I don't know it. Witness the man who raves at the wall, making the shape of his question to heaven. Whether the sun will fall in the evening, will he remember the lesson of giving? Maybe he will. It says that he borrowed lyrics from a book of Chinese poetry from the Tang Dynasty. The title was derived from a quotation from William S. Burroughs. Songs recording here, etc., etc. We don't care about that stuff. Richard Wright made prominent use of the farfisa organ and also played vibraphone and celesta. I always forget those instruments because I know it's not really piano, some sort of key-based instrument, but it's much lighter, it's much brighter, has a little bit of a spark to it as well. It says here, reception, I'm looking at like historical reception, sorry, that was a fly. In a negative review of this album, Jim Miller of Rolling Stone describes Set the Controls, along with Let There Be More Light, as boring, melodically, harmonically, and lyrically. Miller further described the production work not as glittery as the first albums, and their instrumental work is shoddy and routine. Miller also described the track as too long. I'm in complete and utter disagreement. Let's move on. Let's keep it going into the next track, which is going to be Corporal Clegg. I imagine this is going to be their robbery, assault, and battery. Let's go ahead and find out. Let's go. This is good. I like how heavy the verse is, but how melodic this is. It settles down. I think that he's having some PTSD at the end there. That's what I think is happening. I'm not sure. Okay, we're getting a kazoo solo. And not only do we get it once, but we get it twice. How heavy was this song, though? The drum beat, very heavy stomping. The guitar riff, every time it came back in from that beat, so heavy. And then how sharp and distressed were the verse as compared to the chorus. asking about Miss Clegg, or Mrs. Clegg rather. That was really interesting, and even lyrically, I thought it was actually pretty interesting. Not a silly song as I kind of thought from, the name of the song. I don't know why, but Clegg just seemed like a joke name. No offense to anyone that is named Clegg. But, like lyrically, Corporal Clegg had a wooden leg. He won it in the war in 1944. Well, not exactly, something you win, but so already you kind of get their twisted sense of humor a little bit. Corporal Clegg had a medal too in orange, red, and blue. Okay, so at least he got a medal for it. Oh no, he found it in the zoo. So we're actually getting painted a sad story, but they're using a kind of offset sense of humor in doing that, which is just really creative the way that the band has kind of put this together. And this track really reminds me of the Beatles. This is the one. this is the one. And then you can kind of hear him saying, "Dear oh dear, were they really sad for me? Dear oh dear, will they really laugh at me?" Every line really just continues to de-escalate and show us how downtrodden Clegg is, really, from everything. Were they really sad for me, or are they laughing at me? Mrs. Clegg, you can imagine, I don't know, someone asking Miss Clegg, "Miss Clegg, you must be proud of him." And then Mrs. Clegg, another drop of gin. Apparently, she's trying to drink and forget about it all. I don't know, but like I said, it's really a really great effective painting and look at this soldier and his return from the war, and perhaps the greeting that he got on the way back, which was different, perhaps, than what was expected. But really good song. Let's see. Let's look into this. And then I did mention at the end, all those sound effects kind of sounded like the airplanes, so he may have been having, a little bit of PTSD, a little bit of memory there. It says, let's see. It is the first. Oh no, yeah. It is the first mention of war in a Pink Floyd song, and something that would become a common theme in Waters' lyrics, Roger having lost his father thus in 1944. Well, that makes sense. He explained, "Corporal Clegg is about my father and his sacrifice in World War II. It's somewhat sarcastic, the idea of the wooden leg being something you won in the war like a trophy." See that? This can be seen as rather lighter in tone than Pink Floyd's later tacklings of the subject, though despite the irony and darkness behind the lyrics. Indeed, among the cacophony of voices towards the end, we hear an officer telling his one-legged man, "Clegg, been meaning to speak to you about that leg of yours. You're excused parade from now on." So I guess that's what was going on with the marching at the end of the parade. And members of the band actually corpsing in the chorus. It is possible that the main character got his name after Thaddeus von Clegg, a German clockworker or maker who invented the kazoo in the 1840s. Which would explain the kazoo being present as it was. Now, I've never actually heard of corpsing, which I guess in theater it means breaking character, I guess. One of the most common ways of breaking character is corpsing, in which an actor loses their composure and laughs or giggles in a comedy scene. Okay, kind of like what Jimmy Fallon does all the time in SNL. I'm not really a Jimmy Fallon fan. Nothing against him, just not really. Conan's the best late night personality. Anyways, all right, so that's that. Let's move on. This is no time for talking about late night personalities. This is time for moving on to side 2 of the album. Are you still here with me? Did you quit halfway through? You said, "I don't want to watch this guy listen to this music." Maybe that's okay. Because if that's what happened, you're obviously not here right now. But if you are here, let me know your social security. No, don't. If you are here at this exact moment, let me know your favorite Pink Floyd album, because it's Animals for me. It's always been Animals. There's no comparison. Not even a question. Let's move on into side 2 of the album. The title track opening this one, A Saucer Full of Secrets. Let's see what these secrets are, and if they'll be revealed to us in a saucer. Slightly off-putting slithering and skittering of keys. Some of you knew this was coming. Some of you already knew. Will someone please set the controls for the Heart of the Sun? Because that's where this track belongs. All right. First of all, let's get this out the way. The ending is absolutely gorgeous. It is so beautiful. It's near one of those awakened moments where it's just blissfully melodic, starting from about 8:30 onward when the organ comes in, sets you with that tone. Then the bass pedals from the organ come in, and then the little bit of comes in. Like it's overwhelmingly gorgeous, and it's incredibly beautiful, and I love those last few minutes. But I did not need 8 minutes of noodling to get there. I don't like this type of track. I'm sorry. This is not for me personally. I do think that it's really cool for the band to experiment in this way as the opener to the second side of the album. Because think about the first 4 tracks we got and listening to this and then flipping the album over, flipping the record over, and this is what you're greeted with. But then it does segue from pure dissonance and noise into this overwhelmingly majestic section afterwards, leading us, of course, into the next tracks here on the album. I think that in some ways it works, if I'm looking at it from that perspective. And I do think that that perspective is warranted. But at the same time, no matter how many, ways of warranting that perspective you give to me, I can tell you I'm never going to listen to this again. I didn't enjoy it. I felt like I was wasting time. I felt like a kid in class that's looking at the clock waiting for it to hit that certain minute, that certain hour for us to get out of class. And I would do that thing where what time it is and you have 20 minutes or whatever. And you look away, you try to do something else, but then you look back and it's like, oh, you still got 19 minutes. I was trying to do that with this track. I didn't enjoy it. I won't ever enjoy it. I can tell you that right now. I don't need a second listen. The ending is absolutely beautiful, but I did not need the 8 minutes and 30 seconds of noise to get there. That is my honest opinion on what I have to say. I can tell you I will never listen to this again. It's not for me. I know it's for some of you, but it's not for me. And I don't need a second listen to know that. I don't need it. Yeah. So on one hand, I can understand and admire it to an extent, but I'm never going to listen to this again. It says that the song features guitar feedback, a percussion solo section, wordless vocals, yada yada yada. Yes, Seinfeld, yada yada yada. The track was composed by Roger Waters, drawing diagrams on a piece of paper explaining how the music should progress. Gilmour later said he initially wasn't sure what to play. That's an interesting concept. I would like to see the paper with these Venn diagrams to see what the how this progression was supposed to progress. I guess it says that some pressings break this into 4 different sections. It just all sounds. I mean, the ending is beautiful, but even Mellotron couldn't save this. There's no lyrics on here, obviously, so there's nothing I even want to talk about on this one. Yeah, there's nothing else I have to say about this one. I wish I could say it's a beautiful mess, but it's a mess that ends beautifully. Man, that's a good quote. All right, let's move on into the next track here quickly, which is going to be Seesaw. Let's go. Wash that taste out of my mouth. I like that Mellotron in there. Now the parts are skipping, going up and going down like a seesaw. I like that. Cascading piano and going down. See, that's the seesaw in action. That's really cool. I'm sorry, but this was a much needed reprieve from the last track. This is exactly what I needed. This is what I seeked. Seeking. This song sounded so blissfully innocent. I like the seesaw. Now, not only the name of the title, but also in the production, because you have those moments where it would drift up and drift down. What I meant when I said that this song has a lot of bloom is that, it makes me think of flowers opening up, right? And this song had a lot of those moments where melodically the song would come to a head, the band would come up, and they would open up blissfully, slowly, and allow the music to just naturally expand for a little bit. And then they bring it back in, do whatever they're doing. I like Nick Mason playing on the snare just with brushes, or is it brushes? Probably, or the metal ones, right? Those are still brushes. I don't know. But the brushes, like it adds just this cool flow to it all. And like I said, it's so just chill. It's just playful, in a certain way. It just really reminds me of being blissfully innocent, and the way that the music continually has those little blooming moments, and then afterwards, for example, right with the piano would cascade. Da, 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 da. It just sounds so nice. Let's put this on. Or let's get rid of that title track. Marigolds are very much in love, but he doesn't mind. Or marigolds, yeah. Picking up his sister, he makes his way into the Seesaw land. All the way she smiles, she goes up while he goes down. Sits on a stick in the river, laughter in his sleep, sisters throwing stones, hoping for a hit. He doesn't know, so then, she goes up, he goes down. Of course, the seesaw in their life, I'd imagine brother and sister, they're kind of revolving around each other. Another time, another day, a brother's way to leave. She'll be selling plastic flowers on a Sunday afternoon. Picking up weeds, she hasn't got the time to care. All can see, he's not there. She grows up for another man, and he's down. So, the family dynamic has kind of dissipated in a sense. I don't know exactly what's happening story-wise or what the meaning is. We'll look into that. But at some point, he's not there anymore for whatever reason. And I don't know. She goes on with her life. I don't know exactly what's happening here. Let's see if there's some information on this particular one. It says it's theorized that the song tells of a strangely troubled brother-sister relationship. The loss of a child, the sister killing the brother. From the lyrics, sits on a stick in the river, sisters throwing stones hoping for a hit. He doesn't know, so then she gets up while he goes down. Ooh, I didn't even think of that. I did not even think of that at all. If that's, because it says it's theorized. If that's what's meant, that was so well written, I didn't even catch that. And I guess the brother didn't catch it either because he down. Let's move on into the final track of the album, A Saucerful of Secrets. I hope that you guys have enjoyed listening to it alongside with me. Let's get into this last track here, which is Jugband Blues. Let's let it go. No, I didn't do it. Let's let it go.
It's awfully considerate of you to think of me. And I just
Kazoo again? A last appearance? I'll be honest, I don't really know what to make of this particular track. It goes through so many different like phases and places. I really did like the ending there. After the marching band went away, and we just had that kind of solo acoustic moment at the end, there was a really, really, like, I don't know what it was said, but there was a hit of sadness to it. There was some sort of like, there was something sad about it. And here in the beginning, like, it's so playful and kind of weird. You get a hint of that in the beginning, but then it starts getting weird, going to all different places. But then this is like wanting something. This is like desperate for something. Let's look at these lyrics. Of course, we'll look at the history of this one as well. But off of first listen, I don't quite know what to make of it, although I think that it's a decent closing to the album. It's awfully considerate of you to think of me here, and I'm most obliged to you for making it clear that I'm not here. And I never knew the moon could be so big, and I never knew the moon could be so blue. And I'm grateful that you threw away my old shoes and brought me here instead of dressed in red. And I'm wondering who could be writing this song. So maybe it's a little bit of like a disassociation from oneself. I don't care if the sun don't shine, and I don't care if nothing is mine, and I don't care if I'm nervous with you. I'll do my loving in the winter. So he's in an uncomfortable situation with this other person. Honestly, it sounds like a doctor or something like that. And the sea isn't green, and I love the queen. And what exactly is a dream, and what exactly is a joke? I like the way these lyrics are written. Let's kind of look into the information on this one. This makes sense. It was written by Sid. It was his sole compositional contribution to the album, as well as his last published for the band. Okay, let's take that into account then. Besides all the verses here in this particular song, his in a sense, his last words with the band, what exactly is a dream and what exactly is a joke? I feel like that's something you could like really kind of look into, you know? I don't know. It feels like one of those. I don't want to say a call for help, but it sounds like something personal. And obviously, Sid wrote very much from the heart, as we got a lot from in the debut album as well. Let's see. I'm trying to see some information here about this one. I guess there's another song called Vegetable Man that they had wrote. I guess it's a bootleg song, or it wasn't included on this album, although it was written around the same time. It says both songs contain the same cynical humor, but Jugband Blues is directed towards those around him. So it is a little bit autobiographical in a sense, I suppose. I'm looking to see if there's any like internal information from Sid himself, if he said anything about this particular track. It says Barrett, let's see. Smith then invited Barrett to outline his musical ideas for the ensemble, but Sid told them he wanted to simply play whatever they want, regardless of the rest of the group. Barrett walked out of the studio shortly afterwards, did not return. I don't know. This feels like, I mean, I guess, and you Pink Floyd fans would really know, obviously, but this feels kind of like that final goodbye, in a sense, here. Anyways, this was such a cool album to listen to. I'll immediately tell you that I thought the first side was stronger than the second. I did like Seesaw, but the first side had my favorite songs, I would say, probably Let There Be More Light, which was a banger of an opener, and then Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. Oh, those two tracks I think are absolutely fantastic, and like I said, I don't know how this album ranks among actual Pink Floyd fans. And when I say actual, I mean like long time, like deeply, you're into it, I've just heard a few albums. So, but those two tracks I think stand way, way, way above the rest. But I do like the direction that they have on this album with their experimentation. And I'm not talking about the title track, but then also moving forward in the band, which I guess you could argue would be due to Gilmour's influence and him being in the band at this particular point in their history. So, thank you guys so much for the recommendation. I hope that you enjoyed watching the video. Hope that you stuck around the whole time. Maybe you skipped around. Maybe you didn't sit there for the whole 11 minutes with the title track like I did. Like I had to. Or maybe you sat there, enjoyed, and loved every second of it. Whatever you felt and however you felt, please do me a favor and let me know in the comments. I love reading them. Please, if you didn't at the beginning of the video, like the video. Helps me a ton. You can also share the video on whatever socials you got. If you'd like to support me and what I do, and you enjoy what I do and you want to help out, you can do that on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You don't have to, but it definitely helps me, and I would say obviously helps me in a sense. But otherwise, don't forget to check out the band I mentioned in the beginning of the video. I'll put a link for them down below. Think you guys will enjoy them. A little bit of bad zap. And thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for spending some time with me. I guess you could say the morning, because right now it's 8:56. And that's it, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you later. Bye.